wish to compare a rose to life or death, to love or tragedy, to resilience or decay, there is something somewhere that will fulfill your requirement. Roses, it seems, are a great source of artistic inspiration, and artists of every stripe and level of talent seek metaphor and meaning in roses. In fact, I did a quick search of the internet, and that revealed that many, many budding poets, forgive the pun there, feel obliged to try their hand at rhyming iambic pentameter featuring roses, and usually laments about how parents get in the way of true love. And this use of roses as metaphor for just about everything under the sun isn't limited to Western society, but is present in Japanese prints, and Chinese pop songs, in Arabic poetry, and Bollywood movies. The rose, in short, has become a universal symbol. The American Rose Society, represented tonight by all of you, are the latest custodians of that symbol. The ARS is part of a chain of special stewards of the rose. Just because there have been people interested in caring for the legacy of the rose up until today doesn't guarantee its future. As members of the society, you match your love of the rose with the history of what it represents. You are caretakers not only of the roses in your gardens, but of the metaphors that all different kinds of people find in that blossom. With a touch of luck and with your continued care, roses will continue to be here long after all of us have taken our turn as mulch. 1,000 years from now, the internet will still be full of budding poets comparing roses to Martian sunrises, laments about how parents get in the way of true love. With the continued care of those who come after us today, popular songwriters 2,000 years from today will still be singing about roses and thorns and obvious metaphors, bad folks. As a society dedicated to keeping that symbol alive, I hope all of you endeavor to keep those rose bushes well pruned and watered and fed. Not just for the sake of the amazing roses on display at the convention hall, but for the sake of everyone yet to come who will be in desperate need of a metaphor for whatever passion they have to express. And because of you, because of the American Rose Society, the rose will still be there, ready symbol at hand for anything you might need, right there in the garden.
Good evening. I've got a big voice, yes. Is that too loud or is that about right? Too loud. How's that? That better? All right. I've been told quite often I don't need a microphone either. Just mellow. Well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm sure probably a lot of you, I asked for that. If this goes downhill, I'm getting on that train. Let me tell you that right now. I got the schedules in my head. When I received an email saying that Jolene had asked me to speak at her fantastic event, I reacted probably the same way a lot of you did with like, really? But it's an honor to be here. I've got to know Jolene extremely well over the years, obviously at ARS events that we both attended to and had the pleasure of being there together. But also a great deal through emails and exchanging ideas on videos and information and education, something I think we're both passionate about. And I can say this, I think with great confidence in having gotten to know Jolene over the years, the ARS is in fantastic hands going forward. So when I thought about what to speak about tonight, I thought, well, I could do a rose talk, but gosh, we've had 2 days of those. So one of the things that I really feel passionate about, and one of the things that I love to do in the work that I do, is go talk to gardeners and find out, you know, are they growing roses? If they're not growing roses, why aren't they growing roses? How can we get them to grow roses? How can we make this wonderful American Rose Society an enormous big tent and welcome all these new people in? So these are some thoughts and ideas that I had. They're not the best, they're not the be-all and end-all, but I'd like to just share some thoughts with you. First of all, I believe something very, very simple. Oops, we are out. Hold on. Steve Jobs is not perfect. I'll tell you that right now. There we go. All right. I believe that all gardeners, I'm talking general gardeners, want roses in their garden. I also believe that roses are the most versatile group of plants available to gardeners. Think about that. What other group of plants bloom from spring to fall, come in almost every color of the rainbow, every single shape and size? It doesn't exist. The rose is really the most amazing garden plant we have. And rose growing is rewarding, from the casual gardener to the top exhibitors. And I know we have a lot of you among us here tonight. I also believe something else. I believe that if we combine these three things, I think we can bring every gardener to rose growing. Because I do feel that every gardener wants to grow roses, but one or two things has happened. Either they've heard that they're difficult to grow and never started in the first place, or maybe they had the wrong rose, failed, and decided to never try again because the rumors were true. Yeah, and I think part of our job is to get over that. So budding more rose growers, where does that begin? Well, we have to figure out who are today's gardeners, not today's rose growers. We don't have to convince rose growers to grow roses, you're already doing it. We have to convince the gardeners to come in and give us a hand. So who are today's gardeners? Well, I looked up some statistics. Approximately 80 million U.S. households garden regularly in the United States. There could be college-educated baby boomers with higher incomes. They don't want to spend all their time in the garden. And more, and you know this, they really want to garden with less chemicals and perhaps even more organic. And I think that's what we're beginning to see. And I know you guys don't like this one, but it's the truth. Their favorite rose is the knockout family and other similar easy care roses. Here's a little statistic for you. 80 million plants of the knockout family have been sold since 2000 when it was first introduced. It's another statistic for you. ARS membership has gone to 21,000 to 9,000 in that same period. I don't say that as something to be depressing, because that's the point of why I'm here tonight. I say this is actually a call to action. How can we get these people involved? What can we do to get them really, really going? This is something I find. With their wallets, today's gardeners are telling us they want what kind of roses they want to start with. The key word is start. Here's our job. Take that initial success with the rose, be it a knockout, be it a drift rose. How can we then take that forward? How can we get them, bring them and use that excitement and introduce them to the rest of the world of roses? How can we fire the same passion in them that exists in us after they've had that initial success? Well, first of all, reaching today's rose growers, it starts with all the different ways that we all like to grow roses, and that everyone likes to grow roses. And this again is the versatility of the rose, the thing that I'm so passionate about, the thing that I love. It's good in borders. It's good in containers. It's good, you can use them in formal gardens. You can use them in informal gardens. In the landscape. And last, but also at the top, exhibiting. That's an amazingly versatile plant that we have to offer, that we have to show gardeners what they can do with. But something we have to all remember, and we're all guilty of this, and I put myself in that group. As important as embracing all ways roses can be grown is respecting them. Because we've all done that. We all have the way that we like to grow. I grow roses organically, and I catch myself sometimes thinking, when someone does it, thinking, oh, I'm going to be pompous. So we all have to make sure that we don't go that way. Respect everything. So remember this, a very good rose grower is a good rose grower regardless of the why or the how. From top exhibitors to talented cottage-style gardens to normal organic rose growers, they're all good at what they do regardless of how or why they do it. So make it a big tent. So how do we get them excited? How can we reach new rose growers? Some suggestions for you. Okay. Today, the chances are that gardeners are getting reintroduced or introduced to roses through the modern shrubs. That's what they're seeing success with. As long as they're having that success, we can perhaps build on that. This is something I think every rose society should have. Roses that do well in your area. Because we all know that not every rose does well in every part of the country. I live in South Carolina. There's roses that do well for me that probably don't do well up here and vice versa. So try to find a range of colors, easy to grow. Give them a list, but most of all, make sure that they can succeed with those roses. Because that's what we can then begin to build on. Starter feeding programs. Keep it simple, simple, simple. When I was with the Tinseltown Rose Society with Dr. Tommy Cairns, I wrote a column with a KISS method, I think, of feeding that we had. And that's what it was. It was something to give the new gardener, something that was difficult. If they show interest, that's the time to take them to the more advanced feeding techniques that skilled rose growing begins to require. But make their first introduction very, very simple. Grooming program. When I go talk to garden talks, I find that pruning is the single most intimidating thing to the general gardener. I'm talking to the general gardener here, folks. Keep in mind, these are the people who want to bring in. Perhaps just, make it simple. Cut out dead wood, trim it during the series. These are the modern shrubs, how you can work with a lot of these. The nice thing about relating it to other shrubs, you're going to do what you're going to do with your other plants. Cut out dead wood, shape the bush, cut out the weak growth. They can say, okay, I can take that and transfer that onto a rose. So keep that kind of simple. Insects and disease. This is something we all love doing. We love listing every single disease roses can get. Showing all kinds of photos. Oh, you can get this, and you can get that, and you can get that. Try to keep it to the big 2 or 3 that basically show up in your neck of the woods. Where I live in South Carolina, anybody from the South? Black spot. Yeah, that's what we got to talk about. Out here, when I lived in Los Angeles, rust and powdery mildew, I think, are your big 2. With the insects, where I live, Japanese beetles, which means getting a shotgun. That's the only thing that kills a Japanese beetle. I'll tell you that right now. But here's something to think about, and I know this is hard for us, but make sure that the gardener knows that if they bring a rose in and it's got an imperfection here or a slightly chewed leaf there or a little bit of disease, it's okay. It's not going to die. They won't die. They won't have their clippers taken away. Keep that in mind. And here's another one. Get excited about any rose they like. Okay? Because roses have all kinds of different jobs to do. And if that rose does that job well, it's a good rose. Okay? So this is something. Our personal opinion of a particular rose doesn't matter. If they're excited, it's a good rose. So let's just keep our opinion to themselves. I'm going to share a little story with you as to why I put this slide in here. When I had my nursery, I was in Washington, D.C. at one of the ARS national conventions. And they asked me to bring some roses for my nursery. And for those of you who knew, I ran Ashdown roses. They were mostly old garden roses and those kind of things. I brought an assistant, one of my employees with me. She was 27 years old at the time. Her husband came, by the way. Just to make sure you know. She was chaperone. And we were sitting in the booth. She was so excited about roses. She had just discovered them. She'd come to work at the nursery. She was discovering amazing new roses. We were in the booth selling our roses. And someone walked up and said, what kind of roses are you selling? We sell old garden roses. And they literally said, oh, those aren't real roses. That young lady never joined the ARS and never joined the local Rose Society. We all like certain kinds of, I'm an ODR guy, you guys know that, but it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate roses of all different kinds. So this is the way I like to look at it. I don't look at old garden versus modern. I don't look at exhibiting versus landscape roses. I consider them by what their job is in the garden. Garden roses, old and modern. Exhibition roses, cut flower roses. And then when they do their job well, they are all equally beautiful. And I think that's something that we sometimes forget sometimes. Think of them like poodles. Roses. Yeah, some of them are incredibly groomed. They go to the Westminster Dog Show. Some just romp in the backyard with the kids. But you know what? Underneath it all, they're all good dogs. And that doesn't change. This is the question that we hear all the time. Is there still room for exhibiting in the American Rose Society? Of course there is. And that sound you just heard was Bob Martin releasing his breath. Exhibitors take some enormous skill and talent. I know some very talented exhibitors. I was trained by one of the best exhibitors in the country, sitting right over here. They're one of the hardest working rose growers we have. They are amazing ambassadors for the rose. However, think of it this way. Exhibiting is a place to take new rose growers to, not start them from. When they're just learning about roses for the very first time, it's daunting enough to learn the classes, the styles, the types. Get them excited. Then if they show interest in exhibiting, take them there. Because it is an incredible hobby. So budding the rose grower and olives, just to recap this, I'm keeping this quick because this is Jolene's. Remember who today's rose grower is. Keep their initial contact simple, simple, simple. Embrace and respect all ways of growing roses. Develop some starter programs. That's really, really important. And get excited about any rose that they like. Take that initial excitement and turn them into the rose growers that we all want to keep bringing in. Success creates excitement, creates new rose growers. I think that's the way we can bring more rose growers into what we do. And lastly, and most importantly, take a minute to stop and smell the roses. Because at the end of the day, this is just a delightful hobby. And that's why we're in this. Thank you.
Next, we're going to have a musical interlude by Catherine Adams.
Oh, super. Very good.
Good evening. How is everyone doing today? All right. Did everyone enjoy their meal? Good. And dessert, I hope, which is my favorite. I just wanted to let you know that it was an honor for me to be here tonight to celebrate with my aunt. I'm so proud of her and want to wish her a huge congratulations. I'm going to be singing the English version of Lovey and Rose, a cappella style, and there's going to be one verse in French if I can swing that right.
Next, we're going to have ARS Gold Medal winner, Mr. Ed Griffith, for the installation of our regional and district directors.
Well, I guess this is the time we've all been waiting for. And it's time to install. We got any more lights? I want to get everybody right. On behalf of the members of the American Rose Society, it is my pleasure to present the regional directors of the American Rose Society, duly elected in accordance with the ARS bylaws. And they are Region 0, Dave Law. And if you will please come forward. Region 1, Elaine Adler. I know she's here because she's been waiting on mine. There we go. Region 2, Richard Donovan. Come on to the front, please. There we go. Good. Yeah. Region 3, Ed Griffith. Region 4, Jim Herrick. Region 5, Dave Booty. Region 6, Larry Jones. Region 7, Baxter Williams. Region 8, Greg Hill. And Region 9, Jack Kyle. Ladies and gentlemen, by and with the authority vested in me by the members of the American Rose Society, I hereby install each of you into the office of Regional Director of the American Rose Society and vest in you the authority and responsibilities of that office. Just step to the side because we got to invite your cohorts to come up. Right, go to the side. Fine. Okay, on behalf of the American Rose Society, it's my pleasure to present the district directors of the American Rose Society, duly elected in accordance with the ARS bylaws. And they are Buckeye District, Larry Shaw. He was supposed to be at my table, I don't think he's here. Oh, he is? Oh, okay, there he is. And the Carolina District, Jay Harris. Right. The Central District, Don Swanson. The Colonial District, Ed Krause. And the Deep South District, Karen Pravat. And the Great Lakes District, Tom Kreschbach. District, Alan Owens. Illinois Indiana District, Linda Kimmel. And New York District, Ann Gibson. The North Central District, Don Zaromsky. And the Northern California, Nevada, Hawaii District, Alice Ackler. We must be in home territory. Pacific Northwest District, Gretchen Humphrey. Pacific Southwest District, Al Reynolds. Did I see Missouri? Penn Jersey District, Nancy Reddington. Rocky Mountain District, Peggy Williams. South Central District, Brenda Johnson. Tenarchy District, Sam Jones. And the Yankee District, Craig Dorsham. Ladies and gentlemen, by and with the authority vested in me by the members of the American Rose Society, I hereby install each of you into the office of District Director of the American Rose Society and vest in you the authority and responsibilities of this office. Here come the goodies.
We have a gift for the directors, so you'll remember who you are. When you wake up every morning, I want you to drink your coffee from this coffee mug, because it says Board of Directors. That will remind you of your responsibilities. And to start you off in life, Starbucks Salutro coffee. So there's one for each of you. Come this way, we'll hand them out. Thank you.
What to do? I know you want us to get out of here, so we can move on.
Hum a few bars, Ed.
We don't have a musical interlude, but Jolene suggests we hum.
Action. When we left the hotel this evening, Ann said to me, "Do the best you can." And that reminded me of a book that I've been reading. I actually started reading on the plane coming out from Ohio. Some of you may have read it already. It's Bob Woodward's latest book called The Price of Politics. Have any of you read it yet? In that book, Woodward relates a story that was told to him by President Obama. And when President Obama was still a senator, he was invited to be the keynote speaker at the Gridiron Club in Washington, D.C. And on the day that he was to give his speech, he got an email from a friend of his. The email was actually an abstract of a study that was done by a psychologist from the University of Scotland. And that study claimed that having sex just prior to giving a public address would give you oratory powers. So this is all true. So President Obama, Senator Obama at the time, showed this abstract to Michelle. And she looked at it, read it. She handed it back to him. And she said, "Do the best that you can." So I wasn't sure what Ann meant by that. But seriously, tonight this is a very momentous occasion. Because as most of you know, for the past half a century, maybe more, women have carried the load, really, of the American Rose Society. And even though women have done that, we have not given them very often the ultimate position of authority in our society. Helen Schoen, I'm sure, would be pleased tonight to see what we're doing. Betty Pavey aspired to the vice presidency back in the 70s. Linda Campbell, Louise Coleman in the 90s. Bunny Strand in the 90s and early 2000s. And then Marilyn Welling, we did elect her as vice president in 2000. But you know, her term got sandwiched between two rather strong fellas, Tommy Cairns and Steve Jones, and so she was kind of stymied a little bit because of that. But this year, we had the opportunity of choosing between two very qualified and distinguished women to elect to the vice presidency. And so now, tonight, for the first time ever in the American Rose Society, we are going to have two women leading our society. Come forward, please. So I have the pleasure of administering the oath to Pat. And so if you would repeat after me. I, Pat Shanley.
I, Pat Shanley.
Pledge to uphold.
pledge to uphold
the Constitution and bylaws
the Constitution and bylaws
of the American Rose Society,
of the American Rose Society,
and to serve the Society
and to serve the Society
as its Vice President
as its Vice President
as best as I can.
as best as I can. So help me God.
Truly installed as Vice President of the American Rose Society.
I'd like to start off by thanking the East Bay Rose Society and the NCMH District for hosting this wonderful, wonderful event. Give yourself a round of applause. And lastly, I would like to thank you all for giving me this incredible honor to be able to lead forward the society, to work with Jolene Adams, and to take us to where we need to be, which is to grow our membership. We'll be looking to all of you for help to grow our membership, and actually after listening to Paul Zimmerman, I think I need him on the market. To all of us, I wish all of us the best, that we grow our society and enjoy our roses.
Congratulations, Pat. Now, a lot of people have asked me, how do you feel about the convention? Are you about to, can you not wait until Monday? And after these next 3 speakers, that would be the highlight of the convention. So after these next 3 speakers, I know that Jolene's going to be very happy. And no matter what happens tomorrow, I'm not going to get in trouble. So next, I'd like to invite Mr. Scott Oberlees to speak about you. Scott.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest of honor tonight. Sorry, I'll try to speak a little louder and use the microphone better. Our love for roses many times starts with our family. Jolene's mom and aunt loved the cottage garden look, and Jolene's early childhood included helping out and growing the roses. My dad, Jake, became the official pruner of his mom's rose garden. As roses grow, so does our love grow, especially when we are young. Jolene likes to say that 30 years ago, she picked up my dad at a cowboy bar in San Diego. They shared 3 things they loved together: roses, Dixieland jazz, and dancing. When they moved to Hayward, they started their rose garden. They first bought 5 tree roses. Well, the next week, they bought 5 bush roses. And then the following week, 5 mini tree roses. Well, when you start buying 5 roses at a time, you soon have 150 roses before you know it. Their final limitation, I think, was watering lines and maybe space, but other than that, who knows how many they would have had. Jolene and Jake joined the East Bay Rose Society, and it's somewhat ironic that my dad, a lifelong Republican, took his first award with a John F. Kennedy rose. Some other roses of merit were Helen Travel, Listen, Opiad, and Tonight. Jolene has done it all in her life, and as a rose grower, lover, displayer, and judge, and now as your next president. It's an honor to have Jolene Adams.
Now it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Tommy Cairns for the installation of President-elect John Adams.
Well, Jolene, the hour has arrived, but before we get into the formality, and remember this formality occurs every 3 years, we have an exchange of leadership. And we're proud to have you as our leader, but wishes come from the farthest reach of the society, and that is Hawaii. And the ladies of Hawaii have asked me to present you aloha, and I get a big kiss. So Jolene, the formal oath of office is the mark that takes you into the next 3 years of leadership, direction for the society, and the camaraderie that we built over the decades. So please raise your right hand and repeat after me. And no imitating my Scottish accent during the pledge.
I, Jolene Adams,
I, Jolene Adams,
do faithfully promise
do faithfully promise
to protect and defend the Constitution and bylaws of the American Rose Society,
the Constitution and bylaws of the American Rose Society,
and to faithfully execute the duties of the office of President.
the duties of the office of President.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Madam President, welcome to the society.
Now, as we know, Madam President is heading for Johannesburg for the World Rose Convention. And I did not want our American President to appear undressed at this occasion. And to complete the Lady Gaga look, I think you'll do just fine in Africa. God bless you and welcome.
Thank you. But where's the meat dress? See, I did know a little bit about Lady Gaga. At least I knew where she was. Thank you very, very much.
Part of the regalia that the President is entitled to wear in all, shall I say, official functions, is our chain of office. Now, the chain itself represents the over 300 affiliated chapter societies of the American Rose Society. And here to present the chain are our two daughters, and they will install the chain of office to Madam President Jolene Adams. Thank you, ladies. I don't think Lady Gaga could beat this lovely piece of jewelry.
This is heavy. It's especially apropos since I am going to South Africa and I will be representing the American Rose Society as the current president. And I can't even tell this is it. I never had 5 feet 2 down. Anyway, going to South Africa, representing the American Rose Society. The other countries of the world, their presidents do have regalia that they wear in honor of their country. So I am very proud to be wearing this for us. Thank you very much. And of course, I have my glasses on so I can see. You're lucky I didn't have the glasses up on my head like you usually see me. Do not take pictures of me looking like that. We were going to do a special presentation to Jeff because he's been very helpful, telling me how things get done, teaching me along the way. He will get his special presentation tomorrow night at the awards banquet, so I hope all of you will be there. It'll be a special occasion. I do want to assure you that this will not be a reign of terror. Despite what you've heard from my loyal district members. And both Pat and I will guarantee you that we are going to pull ARS together. And we will grow. Neither one of us want dissension and all of the stuff that has gone before. We want to grow ARS within and from without. And as Paul said in his presentation, we're going to go after the gardeners. We're going to invite garden clubs to affiliate with the American Rose Society. Now think about it. Say you live in Podunk, and the Podunk Garden Club affiliates with ARS. They become one member, one magazine, one membership card, but all 130 of them get to read that magazine and hear about ARS, and slowly but surely, as has happened to us, how else did we join? They also become members of ARS through our many outreaches. This is another organic way of growing our membership. And Pat had great plans, many ideas. It's going through the next membership committee, and this woman is a marketing genius. She has some special things coming, so watch for them. We're going to have a great time in the next 3 years. You guys are going to be so happy you've got 3 great years going with 2 women at the helm. We can do it, and we will. And I thank you.
Before we conclude, I have just a few announcements. If you drove here in your own car, you can have your parking validated right through these draperies right here. And also the ARS Patrons Breakfast tomorrow is in the Danville Pleasanton room at the hotel. It's not at the hotel restaurant, it's at the Danville Pleasanton room.
Thank you, Thomas. Representing ARS remarks to make now. I wanted to mention to you a member of the MCNH district has just celebrated her 100th birthday, and that was Blanche Weiner. And the other thing I wanted to mention is I have an award. This is a bronze certificate, and it will be presented for the hybridizer of number 2010-07 and these things are so hard to read. And number 2010-05. And these beautiful roses that were tested in the trial grounds of the American Rose Center in Shreveport, Louisiana, were hybridized by our own David Cole.
And that is concluding our program for this evening. Thank you everybody for coming. I believe that the buses are going to pick us up where they drop us off.